Oh yeah, look. A new cap, and it's spelled differently. And finally get it in my hand. This is the brand new OM System 20mm F1.4 Pro. Let's go. Welcome back. I'm Jimmy Cheng, a London-based professional documentary and portrait photographer. You know, I haven't done a proper review on Olympus ski in a while. Sorry, I should say OM. I think this would take a while to get used to. I'm also a little late on the whole review thing with this 20mm F1.4 Pro, the very first OM branded optic. But I'm glad that I didn't rush the review, as I would normally have to do, given that I may only have 1 or 2 days to conduct my initial review, or more precisely, first look or first impression video. Now I've given the lens for a little bit longer, and also have the chance to use it in a few of my professional shoots, which you'll see some sample images later in this video, so you can get a good feel on what this little beast can do. But anyway, the lens is here, and I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's check this out. First, before any action, let's get all the specs out of the way. I've already done a preview video on this lens on its launch day, but like I said, I didn't have the lens. But as we're now in a review video, it would be nice to go through them once again quickly so you don't have to go back and forth. OM's new 20mm F1.4 Pro is, well, a Pro lens. In OM spoke, that means the lens is constructed with the highest quality with full metal barrel and weather sealing, IPX1 rated to be precise. This makes it the third lens in the family to have an official rating. And for those who don't know what this rating means, well, IPX1 means splash and dust resistant. And when I say splash, it basically means rain. And being a Pro lens, it's also freeze proof. Not sure if you know, weather seal not often means dust proof. And that's why you see tiny dust particles starting to gather inside the lens over time. And most of the weatherproof lenses out there are not dust proof. So having this IPX1 rating means a lot, especially when it comes to reliability. This also happens to match both OM's current flagship cameras, the OMD EM1 Mark III and the EM1X. Now, look at this lens. It definitely looks like a mini 17mm 1.2 Pro, or the 25mm, or the 45mm 1.2 Pro, because they all look the same. But without the lens hood, it's definitely very small, closer to what I remember the Panasonic 25mm 1.4 aspherical. The lens measures at 61.7mm tall and 68mm wide. It's only a fraction larger than the Panasonic 25, which perhaps struck the sweet spot for my ultimate travel prime. And instead of a larger 62mm filter thread on the 1.2 Pro cousins, the new 1.4 Prime is only asking a more modest 58mm, which also means cheaper filters if you need them. Like most Pro lenses, the focus ring is large and buttery smooth, and it's always a pleasure to have a big and wide ring, right? Especially when you're wearing gloves in the winter. But, yep, there is a but. The 20mm F1.4 Pro doesn't have a manual clutch, meaning that I probably won't use it much. One of the reasons I dislike the Panasonic 25 1.4 was its horrible infinity ring. And I mean that it just spins forever and it's almost impossible to use for video. Well, I guess it's still okay for photography, but I wouldn't dare to use it for video as there is no way I can judge the speed of focus racking. And other than that, it's as good as any previous Olympus Pro lenses and it's definitely one of the best ultra-fast prime I've ever used. OM System 20mm F1.4 Pro is designed to please photographers who want a compact, rugged, and elements-proof fast prime. It's been requested numerous times since the 25mm F1.2 Pro was introduced. As much as I love my 1.2 Pro lenses, and even they are much smaller than the full-frame equivalents, it's still pretty big to be considered travel-friendly, especially for those who prioritize lightweight for their expeditions in the cities or in the wilderness. At only 275 grams, the new 1.4 lens is almost half the weight of its 1.2 brother. Okay, you can't compare that with the dinky 25mm 1.8, which is half the weight again, well, and size, but it's slower and not weather sealed. The latest 1.4 lens is definitely not heavy, and I'll be happy to have it on my camera all day without a sore neck. When mated to my EM5 Mark III or the Pen F, you can see just how small the whole setup is. It doesn't even feel front heavy either, and it's almost a perfect balance on smaller bodies. So in terms of handling, it's definitely among the best in class. Subjectively speaking, this 20mm F1.4 Pro may be my favorite when it comes to image performance. First, have a study with my brick wall. At 1.4, this lens is sharp like Rambo's knife, and stopping down only improves things further. It does peak out at f6.3 and diffraction kicks in at f11, yet still usable. I'm pretty amazed by the details that this lens can resolve, considering the pixel size and density with a micro four thirds sensor. So I am pretty impressed. Corner is very impressive for its standard wide lens. At 1.4, it's already getting 90% of sharpness without any smearing or coma, just very slight softness. By f2, it's already nearly as sharp as the central area. By 2.8, it's just crispy like Doritos, with a bit of chili cheese. Nice and hot. Without any lens profile, the new 20mm f1.4 Pro does appear to have a slight barrel distortion, which again very common with a 20mm lens. If you use any Olympus cameras, the images are usually automatically corrected in camera, but it's only in meta terms. So DxO's Pure Raw can strip out any corrections and see what the original RAW file looks like. Interesting, hey? Anyway, distortion isn't severe by any means and can be easily corrected with a +5 correction in Adobe Lightroom, if you're using other Micro Four Thirds cameras. Like any ultra-fast lenses on this planet, Vignette is present. I would say it's pretty noticeable at 1.4, around 3/4 to 1 stop of a light lost, but it's no difference to its 1.2 cousins. The best part is, it's virtually gone by f2 and completely disappear by f2.8. Again, a lot of this will be fixed in any Olympus cameras, so I use DxO to check the actual optical performance. At 1.4, there is noticeable fringing in extreme high contrast areas, though much less pronounced than the Panasonic 25 for sure, and that was the reason I sold that lens. Fixing it is very easy in post without damaging any details and within an acceptable level from all the Pro lenses I've tested, in any brand. Forget me being an ambassador. Since I'm an OM Pro, I've used all lenses but the 150 to 400 beast, and I make a living from using all the Pro Prime lenses. So my following statement worth a bit of gold if you ask me. The new 20mm 1.4 Pro has the best feather bokeh I've seen since the 45mm 1.2 Pro, which was on top of my bokeh list with the Olympus Pro lens lineup. And I have to praise the optical engineers at OM, and even after all the changes over the past 24 months, you managed to create this stunning piece of glass. If you don't believe me, have a look at some of the images I took, and yes, and finally, I can have my own shots. I've never bothered to test this, but during my walkabout, I find that this lens focuses extremely quickly, and I mean more snappier than my other Pro lenses. And I wouldn't say night and day difference, but I could feel it. And this also means that if you utilize continuous AF a lot for either photos or videos, this lens can keep up with sudden changes better than others. If you want to see speed comparison between this lens against the 25 1.2 Pro, remember to subscribe and stay tuned. So, Among all the Olympus primes I've tested, this 20mm f1.4 Pro is the fastest. Well, because of all those characters I mentioned before, this lens is a very good lens for general video making, including some cinematic sequences, due to the fact that it has the ability to isolate subjects in medium distances. However, because of the lack of manual clutch, you can basically rule out any sort of manual actions. Like any other lenses without this feature, it's impossible to judge racking speed and point-to-point focusing. Therefore, this lens is best suited for cameras with good CAF in video shooting, like the M1 Mark III and the M1X. One thing also good to know is that focus breathing is virtually non-existent, and that would have made this lens a great video lens if manual clutch is there. Oh well. Frankly, apart from the interesting focal length, I didn't have much expectations from this new lens. Well, not because of the rebranding, but I've grown to accustom the quality from Olympus or OM designs and quality. So in essence, I've lost words to describe any high-end lenses from them, and that's not good for a review. But this, the first OM system M.Zuiko 20mm f1.4 Pro, comes out with a bang. And I don't care what others say, but to me, it is possibly the best Olympus lenses in recent time. And I haven't counted the beast, the 150-400mm f4.5 Pro, because I haven't personally tested one, nor I could afford one right now. So I have deliberately excluded it from my statement here. This lens is small, light with a tank-like build, really ticks all the boxes for a great micro four thirds lens. It's sharp with beautiful rendering and feather bokeh. Yes, it is not as tiny as the 1.8 cousin, but this is way more rugged and with a IPX1 weather seal rating, and it matches well with any current micro four thirds cameras. If I have to criticize this lens, it would have to be the omission of the manual clutch, a feature I use often for my video works. The missing L function button may also be something that many would miss, but at least it's a feature that I don't use often on any of my Pro Prime lenses. But as far as a lens goes, this M.Zuiko 20mm f1.4 Pro is close to being perfect. I'm not here to justify my obvious bias on this lens, but the new OM 20mm 1.4 Pro ticks 99% of my boxes. And this review also compares my experience with my previous Panasonic Leica 25mm 1.4 aspherical, a lens that I really miss due to its size and balance on my EM5. And now I have a genuine replacement for that lens, a replacement that I will treasure for as long as micro four thirds is around. Yeah. That's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this review and let me know your thoughts on this new 20mm lens. Does it exceed your expectation? Will you get this lens over the 1.8 or 1.2 lenses? And let's have a chat. And you know what to do now. Thumb me if you enjoyed this video and sub if you want to stay in touch with all things photography, filmmaking, and of course, OM system. Peace. Well, I was supposed to film this video ages ago, but if you've been following my show, you know that I've been not well. I mean, I got a flu and then I've got rested for a week. Then I got my booster jab, my third COVID jab, and I got reaction from it. So it just kind of really interrupting my workflow. It's unfortunate, but I filmed lots of it like ages ago, like I assembled a lot of, like I said, I use this lens for a few of my professional shoots. So I have assembled a lot of samples, both videos and also photos, just to conduct this review. It's taken me a long time, but it's good because I can fully assess the quality and the ability of this lens, and I can really tell you that I'm really impressed with it. So I think sometimes it's good for me not to rush it for reviews like this. I know many people would like to have the first-hand information, the first-hand review, the first day of announcement, and I'll have the review on. But usually, I don't have that much time to do that sort of videos, and they will have probably sent me the lens a day or two, maybe 5 days before. But 5 days, nothing for review if you want a good feel of what this lens is capable of. So it's good that now I have longer time to do it. That means I can play around with the lens. I can take it out to actually shoot with the lens for both videos and photos. So I've got a good a judgment now or how this lens actually behave in a real life situation. So this is good for me. So hope you enjoyed it as well. But like I said, my statement is true. I really did miss the Panasonic 25 because I love that lens. I sold it for a couple of reasons already mentioned in the video. The new 20mm 1.4 Pro is definitely a worthy a replacement for that lens. I mean, in terms of size and traveling, this will be amazing on the EM5 if I go out, let's say, just do a walkabout, street photography, documentary stuff. Like this is really like, if you want just one lens, I think this could be that lens. That's good, right? For photography, the video, you already heard my video, the reasonings, and so it's not something that I would probably use for videos, and but for photography, yeah, this is probably as good as it can get. Anyway, enjoy yourself, go and shoot more, and hope that you stay in touch with my other upcoming videos. Yeah, click the sub button, yeah, and put the bell notification, so yeah, you won't miss anything otherwise. Anyway, I've got other videos to make now, and I shall see you all very soon. Until next time, see you soon. Bye for now.